My girlfriend proposed an open relationship weekend while she was in Vegas. I deployed my pass to clear out and disappear on her. She returned home to a deserted apartment and a notice of lease termination. Imagine someone you love, someone you've built your entire future around, looks you dead in the eye and asks for permission to betray you. How do you respond when the person you thought was your partner shows you exactly who they really are? My response? I just walked away, and I promise you, she never saw it coming. The fluorescent hum of our apartment kitchen, usually a comfort, felt like a buzzing alarm that Tuesday night. I was stirring pasta, the scent of garlic and tomato filling the air, utterly oblivious that my entire world was about to shatter into a million pieces, right there at our small dining table. I'm 29 now, and my job as an insurance adjuster in Ohio isn't exactly thrilling, but it's taught me a lot about human nature. Mostly that people lie. They exaggerate, they fake, they twist facts to get what they want. It's built my career, this uncanny ability to spot when something doesn't quite add up. Little did I know, those very skills would become my shield and sword in my own life. For 3 years, I thought I was living a dream with Chloe. We met at a friend's wedding, a classic movie moment, really. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman. Good music, everyone dressed their best. Her smile, as the bride walked down the aisle, just radiated warmth. We ended up at the same table, and for 3 straight hours, it felt like no one else existed. Chloe is 27, a dental hygienist, always impeccably put together, the kind of woman who accessorizes even her casual outfits. When we first got together, I felt like I'd won the lottery. We explored the city, found our favorite restaurants, spent countless weekends binging shows, tangled up on the couch. She had this laugh that made me genuinely believe I was funny, a feat my closest friends would tell you is nearly impossible. It was all the normal relationship stuff, but it felt special because it was ours. After about 18 months, we took the plunge and moved in together. A nice 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. We split everything, building what I truly believed was a shared life. Looking back, I realize I was diligently laying bricks, while she was apparently just window shopping for a better view. The first 2 years were solid. Travel, game nights with friends, holiday dinners with both our families. Chloe would occasionally bring up marriage, usually after we'd been to another wedding. I was all in. I was actively looking at rings, had even started a secret savings fund for it, squirreling away a few $100 each month into an account she didn't know about. I was planning our forever. Then, roughly 8 months ago, things started to subtly shift. Like a picture frame you walk past every day, one day it's perfectly straight, the next it's just a tiny bit off. You notice it, but you dismiss it. Chloe started having more girls' nights. Weekly at first, then twice a week. She suddenly got really into fitness, joining some fancy boutique gym, the kind with exposed brick walls and classes called Sculpt and Burn that cost more than our electric bill. She'd never been a gym person before, but now she was there 5 days a week. Her wardrobe transformed too, short skirts, low-cut tops, dresses that left very little to the imagination. When I'd comment, she'd just beam, saying she felt more confident since starting her fitness journey, wanting to show off her hard work. And on the surface, it made sense. I'm not a controlling guy. Never have been. My philosophy is, if you have to police your partner, you're already in a failing relationship. So, I mostly kept quiet, chalking it up to a phase. But then her phone habits changed. Drastically. It used to be open, face up. Now, always face down. She started taking it to the bathroom, stepping out of the room for calls, even changing her passcode. Still, I didn't snoop. But my internal inconsistency radar started pinging. I just began paying closer attention. And then came the Vegas trip. Her friend, Jessica, was turning 30, and the whole crew was heading to Sin City, 5 girls, 4 nights, staying at some swanky hotel. Chloe was absolutely buzzing. She spent weeks planning outfits, laying them out on the guest bed by day, buying new swimsuits, getting special nails. She researched clubs with VIP sections like it was a doctoral thesis. I was fine with it. It's Vegas. People go there to have fun. I've been there with my buddies, gambled a bit, had a blast, but never once felt the urge to disrespect my relationship. I just figured that's how decent people operated. But 2 nights before she was supposed to leave, Chloe dropped a bomb on me, a moment so surreal it still makes my jaw clench. We were eating dinner, just plain Tuesday night pasta I'd made, when she put her fork down and gave me that look. You know the one. The look that screams, whatever I'm about to say will require significant emotional labor from you. I'd seen it enough times to know nothing good ever followed it. She started with the classic preamble, how much she loved me, how important our relationship was, how she'd been thinking a lot about us and our future. My gut instantly tightened, clenching long before she even got to the point. Then she hit me with it. A gem. She said Jessica and some of the other girls were single, and they were planning to really let loose in Vegas. Like, really let loose. And she felt weird being the only one who couldn't participate, the only one who'd have to turn guys down at the club, while her friends were having the time of their lives. So, she was thinking, she said, with a perfectly straight face, what if we gave each other a hall pass for the weekend? Just for those 4 days. No strings attached, no questions asked, and then we move on like it never happened. She actually framed it like she was being generous, like she was giving me something, too. I sat there, a forkful of spaghetti suspended halfway to my mouth, trying to compute. My girlfriend of 3 years, the woman I was planning to marry, was asking for permission to hook up with other people on vacation, and she was presenting it as a gift to us both. As if I'd been pining for her permission to step outside our relationship. I asked her to clarify, just to make absolutely sure I wasn't hallucinating. I kept my voice calm, which felt like pulling teeth. She repeated it, adding that it could actually strengthen our relationship because it would get any curiosity out of our systems. She even cited some article about couples who did this and ended up closer than ever, claiming that experiencing something outside the relationship made them appreciate each other more. Then she hit me with, it's not like either of us has been with many people before getting together. Don't you ever wonder what else is out there? Don't you feel like you're missing out by settling down so young? Settling. She used that word. Like our 3 years, our shared life, was just settling. The casual way she said it cut deeper than she could ever know. Here's what she didn't know, though. I wasn't the clueless, trusting boyfriend she apparently thought I was. About 3 weeks before this hall pass conversation, my work instincts had started screaming. Those small inconsistencies that didn't add up. Her phone, always face down. Stepping out of the room for calls she used to take right in front of me. Coming home from the gym already freshly showered, even though she always preferred our bathroom's water pressure. The different perfume, something more expensive than the one I'd bought her, which she claimed a coworker had gifted her. And then, one night, as she dozed off on the couch during a reality show, her phone buzzed. A text from someone named Tyler, still coming Saturday? No context, just that one line. And it ignited 100 questions in my head. I didn't say anything then. The insurance adjuster in me knows you don't make accusations until you have the documentation to back it up. You observe. You collect data. You look for patterns. You make your move when you are certain. So I watched. I listened. I paid attention to everything. I started noting when she left for the gym and when she came back. I noticed her Saturday morning workouts ran way longer than the hour-long class she claimed to be taking. 3 hours sometimes. She'd come back glowing, talking about her progress. Turns out, Tyler was a trainer at her new gym. I found his Instagram through the gym's page. One of those fitness influencer types, abs you could grate cheese on, a feed full of shirtless progress pics and inspirational quotes. Perfect fade haircut, designer athletic wear, a watch that cost more than my car payment. She'd been taking private training sessions with him for 2 months. Sessions that seemed to run longer than they should, and sometimes happened on days the gym was technically closed for classes. I even found a scheduling app notification on her phone once. She'd left it on the counter, personal training with Tyler, blocked out for 2 hours on a Sunday morning. The gym didn't even open until noon on Sundays. But still, I didn't have concrete proof of anything physical. Just a mountain of circumstantial evidence painting an ugly, ugly picture. Nothing that would hold up in court, as I'd say at work, but certainly enough to know something was very, very wrong. Then came the hall pass request, and suddenly, everything clicked into place. Like the last piece of a puzzle snapping perfectly into view. She wasn't asking for permission to maybe hook up with some random stranger in Vegas. She was asking for retroactive permission for whatever she'd already been doing. Plus a free pass to continue, consequence-free, surrounded by her enabling friends. The Vegas trip wasn't the start of something, it was the escalation of something already well in progress. I took a deep breath, channeled my work persona, the one that sits across from someone staging an accident, acting like I believe every word while I plot my next question. I asked her some clarifying questions about how this would work. She seemed almost giddy that I wasn't immediately shutting her down. She started explaining the rules, leaning forward with enthusiasm, like she was pitching a brilliant business plan. Keep it to that weekend only. Protection required. No one either of us knows personally. And we'd never discuss the details afterward. She even said it would be like a little adventure we each got to have, and then we'd come back to each other better for it. I nodded along, keeping my expression utterly neutral. I asked if she was sure this was what she wanted. Yes, absolutely, she chirped. She even said she appreciated how mature I was being about it. Said most guys would freak out, get all jealous and controlling, but I was different. She even kissed me on the cheek and said she knew I was one of the good ones. The sheer audacity of that statement still stuns me. I told her I needed to think about it overnight. She readily agreed. Of course, take your time. No pressure. She went to bed happy that night, probably dreaming about VIP sections and endless possibilities in Vegas. She fell asleep before I even came to bed, as if a monumental weight had been lifted from her shoulders. I, on the other hand, didn't sleep much at all. I spent the night in the living room on my laptop, meticulously going through our lease agreement, our shared accounts, every logistical thread of the life we'd intertwined over 3 years. I made lists. I calculated finances. I looked up apartments available for immediate move-in. By sunrise, I had a plan. A detailed, comprehensive plan, complete with contingencies and timelines. The kind of plan I'd put together when building an ironclad case at work. The next day, I told her, you know what? I'm okay with it. Hall pass weekend. Let's do it. Her face lit up like Christmas morning. She actually clapped her hands together like a child given permission for dessert before dinner. She hugged me, called me the most understanding boyfriend ever, said she couldn't wait to get back and really focus on us. The irony was so thick, I could have choked on it. The 2 days leading up to her trip were surreal. She was in the best mood she'd been in for months, chatty, affectionate, talking about all the things she wanted to do when she got back. Plans for a nice dinner. Ideas for redecorating the living room. Even a spring vacation she wanted us to take. Playing house, right up until the moment she walked out the door. Thursday came. I dropped her off at the airport, gave her a kiss, a smile. Told her to have fun, stay safe, text me when she landed. She practically skipped through the terminal with her designer carry-on and freshly highlighted hair, turning back to wave at me with this huge, carefree grin. I waved back, watching until she disappeared past security. The moment her flight took off, confirmed by the tracking app I downloaded for the occasion, I got to work. First call, my buddy Mark. He owned a pickup truck and owed me a favor from when I helped him move last year. I just told him, I'm leaving Chloe, need to get out fast. He didn't ask for details, just said he'd be there in an hour with boxes. Real friends don't need an explanation. Second call, my landlord. I explained I needed to break the lease early due to personal circumstances. Lucky for me, our lease had a 60-day notice clause, but I knew, from reading the fine print, there was an early termination option with a penalty. The landlord said if I paid an extra month's rent, he'd let me out clean. Expensive? Yes. Worth every single penny? Absolutely. Done deal. Third call, my bank. I removed Chloe from the shared savings account we had for household expenses. Moved my portion into my personal checking and closed the joint account entirely. I made sure there was a paper trail showing exactly what was mine and what I'd taken. Then I started packing. 3 years of accumulated life doesn't fit into boxes as easily as you'd think, but I was highly motivated. Mark showed up with his truck and his roommate, Kevin, another friend who'd helped me move before. They didn't ask questions, they just started carrying stuff. Every picture of us I took down felt like pulling a splinter, a little sting, then immense relief. Every piece of furniture I'd bought, I loaded into the truck. The couch? Mine. Bought it off Craigslist before we even moved in. The TV? Mine. Birthday gift to myself. The coffee table, the bed frame, the kitchen appliances I'd brought from my old place. All mine. I was meticulous, only taking what was legitimately my property. I checked receipts, bank statements, took photos of everything I removed, and everything I left. I wasn't trying to rob her. I was just reclaiming my investment in a partnership that had clearly dissolved without my knowledge. The guys asked once if I wanted to talk about it. I just said, she asked for something she shouldn't have asked for, and I'm giving her what she wanted. They exchanged a look but didn't push. Good friends know when to just help and when to ask questions. By Friday night, the apartment looked like a model unit. Empty. Clean. Devoid of any trace that I had ever lived there. Her stuff was still there, her clothes in the closet, toiletries in the bathroom, her throw pillows lying on the bare floor where the couch used to be. But my presence? Completely erased. I even patched the nail holes in the walls where my pictures had hung, touched up the paint with the extra can we'd kept. I vacuumed every room, wiped down every surface, cleaned the kitchen and bathroom until they sparkled. Because that's just who I am. I don't leave messes behind, even when walking away from one. My new place was a one-bedroom across town I'd found on Craigslist. Smaller. Cheaper. And most importantly, mine alone. The landlord, a retired guy, was happy to have someone who could pay 3 months up front and had a steady job with references. I moved my stuff in Friday night and Saturday morning, had everything set up by Saturday afternoon. It was nothing special, clean, functional, in a quiet building with mostly older residents who minded their own business. But walking in that first night, setting up my TV, making my bed, sitting on my couch in my living room, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The weight I'd been carrying, without even realizing it, was finally gone. Saturday afternoon, I drove back to the old apartment one last time. Let myself in. Stood in the empty living room that still smelled faintly of the cleaning products I'd used. It was weird seeing a space we'd shared stripped down to nothing, but it wasn't sad. It was just final. I left my keys on the kitchen counter, along with a typed letter. It explained that I was exercising my right to terminate the lease, that I'd paid the penalty fee, and that she'd need to either re-sign the lease solo or find new accommodations within 30 days. All very formal, all very documented. I CC'd the landlord on everything via email, creating a paper trail no one could dispute. And then I left a small note specifically for Chloe. Nothing long. Nothing emotional. Just a single sentence on a piece of notebook paper. Enjoy your hall pass. I'm using mine to walk out the door. Then I blocked her number. Blocked her on all social media. Went radio silent. A total disappearing act. I walked out of that apartment, got in my car, and drove away from 3 years like it was a finished chapter in a book I was done reading. She was due back Sunday night. I knew this because Jessica had plastered their entire Vegas trip all over Instagram, which I could still see through a fake account I'd made months ago when my suspicions first started. Call it counterintelligence. The posts were something else. Lots of pictures of the girls in barely their dresses, VIP sections at clubs, pool parties during the day. And at least 3 different guys appeared in various photos, including one where a guy I didn't recognize had his arm around Chloe at what looked like a nightclub. Her eyes were glassy, her smile wide, and she looked like she didn't have a single thought about the boyfriend she thought was waiting for her back home. Sunday night came and went. Monday morning, I got to work early, kept my head down, focused on my cases. Had a couple of complex claims to work through. Perfect distraction. Around 10 a.m., the calls started. First from her number, which went straight to voicemail since she was blocked. 3 calls in a row. Then 5. Then silence for a few minutes. Then another barrage. Then from Jessica's number. Then from 2 other friends' numbers I recognized. I didn't answer any of them. Just watched the notifications pile up on my screen and felt nothing. Emails started coming through around noon. Her work email to my work email, which felt like a violation of professional boundaries, but also clearly showed her desperation. The email was frantic, all lowercase, no punctuation, like she'd typed it in a panic. Asking where I was, what was going on, why the apartment was empty, was I okay, had something happened to me, begging me to just let her know I was safe. I didn't respond. Just archived the email and kept working on my claim files. Tuesday. She showed up at my office. Just walked right into the lobby and told Brenda, our receptionist, she needed to see me urgently. Said it was a family emergency, which, technically, I guess it was if you considered our relationship family. Brenda, who's been there longer than anyone and seen everything, came to my desk with a look that said she didn't know what was happening, but she was definitely going to want details later. I told Brenda to tell her I was in meetings all day and couldn't be disturbed. I watched through the glass partition as Chloe argued with the front desk for 10 minutes before finally leaving. She was crying by the end, mascara running, voice loud enough that a few of my coworkers looked up. A part of me felt something. That muscle memory of caring for her, the 3 years of instinct to go comfort her. But then I remembered the hall pass conversation. Remembered the arm around her in that Vegas photo. And that feeling evaporated real quick. Wednesday brought a letter to my new address, which meant she'd somehow figured out where I moved. Probably called around apartment complexes until she found one that confirmed I'd just signed a lease. The letter was 4 pages long, handwritten. A mix of confusion, anger, apology, and accusation that shifted tone every few paragraphs, like she couldn't decide what approach might work. She wrote that she didn't understand what she'd done wrong, that the hall pass was supposed to be for both of us, and I'd agreed to it. That she hadn't even done anything in Vegas, which I knew was a lie based on those photos. That I was being cruel and unfair and deserved an explanation. That she loved me and we could work through whatever this was. That she was sorry if she'd hurt me somehow. That I was being a coward for not facing her. I read the whole thing. Then I shredded it. Didn't respond. Put the confetti in the recycling bin and went about my day. Over the next few weeks, the attempts at contact came in waves. Sometimes daily, sometimes nothing for a few days, then a barrage all at once. Her friends reached out on her behalf, sending messages saying she was a mess and I needed to at least talk to her. Jessica sent a long text about how Chloe had been crying for days and couldn't eat, convinced something terrible had happened. Her sister, who I'd always gotten along with, sent a message asking what had happened because Chloe wouldn't tell anyone the full story, saying the family was worried about both of us. I almost responded to that one. Her sister had always been decent. But responding would have opened a door I needed to keep slammed shut. About a month in, I got a call from an unrecognized number. Against my better judgment, I answered. I just wanted the unknown calls to stop. It was her dad. Now, her dad had always been a good guy to me. Solid. Worked in insurance himself, actually, which meant we always had something to talk about at family dinners. We'd watch games, swap war stories about difficult clients, discuss industry trends. He wasn't a warm and fuzzy type, but he was honorable, and I respected him a lot. He wasn't calling to yell or guilt trip. His voice was calm, measured. He said he was worried about his daughter and wanted to understand what had happened because she was clearly hiding something. He told me he'd known me for 3 years, and I never seemed like the type to just disappear without reason. He asked if I could help him understand. I debated for a moment. I could hang up, tell him it wasn't his business, give him the runaround. But he'd been straight with me, and he deserved at least a partial truth. I told him that Chloe had suggested we have an open relationship for her Vegas trip, and I decided that wasn't the kind of relationship I wanted to be in. I said I'd rather make a clean break than continue in something where we clearly wanted different things. I kept it simple, kept it factual. I didn't get into accusations about Tyler or anything else. There was a long silence. I could hear him breathing, processing what I'd said. Then he just said, I understand. He apologized on her behalf for putting me in that position. Said he hoped I found what I was looking for. The call ended, and that was the last I heard from her family. I never found out what conversation happened after that call, but I imagine it wasn't pleasant for Chloe. Her dad was old school about relationships. He probably didn't take kindly to finding out his daughter had asked for permission to step out on someone he'd considered practically a son-in-law. The thing about ghosting someone after a long relationship is that it gives you a lot of time to think. I spent the first few weeks constantly second-guessing myself. Had I overreacted? Was I being too harsh? Should I have at least had a conversation before disappearing? Those questions would hit me at night, when the new apartment felt too quiet and the bed felt too empty. But then I'd remember the look on her face when she asked for the hall pass. The excitement. The relief when I didn't put up a fight. The way she practically bounced out of that airport terminal. She wasn't a woman who was conflicted about what she wanted. She was a woman who wanted to have her cake and eat it too. And she thought she'd found a partner dumb enough to let her. My friends were split on my approach. Mark, who helped me move, thought I was a legend. Said every guy he knew had fantasized about pulling something like that when their girl did them dirty. Called it the cleanest exit I'd ever seen. Kevin agreed. Said the note was chef's kiss. But a few other friends thought I should have confronted her, had it out, gotten some kind of closure. They said ghosting was immature, that adults talk through their problems, that I denied her the chance to explain herself. Here's my take on closure. Closure is a myth we tell ourselves to justify unnecessary conversations. Chloe knew exactly why I left. She just didn't want to admit it to herself or anyone else. A conversation wouldn't have changed anything. It would have just given her the opportunity to lie to my face, maybe gaslight me into thinking I was the crazy one, possibly even manipulate me into taking her back with promises she'd never keep. The silence was my closure. The empty apartment was my statement. The fact that she had to explain to everyone why her boyfriend of 3 years vanished without a trace, that was my revenge. Let her try to spin that story without revealing what she'd asked for. 3 months after I moved out, I ran into Jessica at a grocery store. She didn't see me at first, so I had the option to avoid her entirely. Could have slipped down another aisle, checked out quick, been gone before she noticed. But I was curious. So I walked right past her section to see if she'd say anything. She did. Grabbed my arm with this look of shock and anger mixed together. Asked me if I had any idea what I'd done to Chloe. Said she'd been a wreck for months, had to move back in with her parents because she couldn't afford the apartment alone, that I'd humiliated her in front of everyone by just disappearing. I just looked at her and asked one question. What exactly did you think was going to happen when Chloe asked for permission to sleep with other people? Jessica's face went through about 4 different expressions in 3 seconds. Surprise. Then guilt. Then defensiveness. Then something like embarrassed anger. Finally, it landed on some combination of all of them. She muttered something about it was just supposed to be a fun thing, that everyone does it now, that I was being dramatic. Said lots of couples do hall passes, and it's not a big deal, that I was overreacting. I told her to have a good day and walked away. Didn't look back. Could feel her staring at me as I headed toward the checkout, but I didn't give her the satisfaction of acknowledging it. The grocery store encounter apparently got back to Chloe because the contact attempts ramped up again for a few weeks, this time with more anger. Texts from new numbers calling me a coward. Emails from new accounts calling me emotionally abusive for disappearing without explanation. Even a few social media messages from accounts I hadn't blocked yet, accusing me of gaslighting her. The gaslighting accusation was rich, coming from someone who tried to convince me that asking to sleep with other people was actually a sign of how healthy our relationship was. I continued not responding. Eventually, I changed my number entirely, made my social media accounts private, and removed anyone connected to her friend group. Basically, I went underground from her entire social circle. Life got better after that. I focused on work, put in the hours, and got a promotion to senior adjuster with a decent raise. I started going to the gym regularly, not some boutique place with influencer trainers, just a regular gym where I could lift weights and clear my head. Made some new friends through a recreational sports league. Joined a softball team that played Thursday nights. I even started dating again about 4 months after the breakup. Nothing serious at first, just coffee dates and the occasional dinner. Testing the waters to see if I still remembered how to connect with someone new. The first few dates were awkward. I felt rusty, kept accidentally comparing everything to how Chloe would have handled it. But eventually, I found my footing again. I met a woman named Sophia at one of my softball games. She played for the opposing team and absolutely crushed a line drive that nearly took out our shortstop. I mean, she smoked it, the ball still rising when it passed the infield. After the game, I walked over to compliment her swing and ended up talking to her for an hour in the parking lot while everyone else went home. Sophia was different from Chloe in almost every way. More direct about what she wanted, less concerned with appearances and Instagram aesthetics. She had this dry sense of humor that caught me off guard constantly. She was a veterinary technician who spent her weekends volunteering at an animal shelter. The kind of person who cried at commercials about abandoned pets and wasn't embarrassed about it. Owned her own place, drove a practical car, didn't seem to need external validation from anyone. We started hanging out casually, then more regularly, then exclusively. She knew I'd just gotten out of a long relationship and didn't push for details until I was ready to share them. She just accepted that there was something in my past I wasn't ready to discuss and gave me space to get there on my own terms. When I finally told her the whole story, probably 3 months into us dating, she just shook her head and said it sounded like I'd dodged a major bullet. She didn't judge me for how I'd handled it. Didn't tell me I should have done it differently. She just said she was glad I'd had enough self-respect to walk away. Here's where the story gets interesting again. About 6 months after I moved out, I was at a company function for work, our annual awards dinner at a downtown hotel. The kind of thing where everyone dresses nice and pretends to enjoy small talk with executives. I got my award for highest settlement accuracy in my department, which was nice, even if nobody outside insurance knows what that means. I brought Sophia as my +1, and we were actually having a decent time, awkward corporate event and all. Then I spotted him across the room. Tyler, the trainer. Turns out he'd left the gym and was now working as some kind of corporate wellness consultant. The type of guy companies hire to teach employees about healthy habits and run wellness challenges. And apparently, my company had hired him for some upcoming employee health initiative. I pointed him out to Sophia, who I'd told about his indirect role in the whole situation. She asked what I wanted to do. I thought about it for a second, looked at him across the room in his too tight suit, making small talk with our HR director, and said, absolutely nothing. The best revenge is living well. And here I am, at a nice event with a woman I actually respect, doing well in a career I enjoy. But fate, apparently, had other plans. Tyler recognized me. Or rather, he noticed me staring and came over to introduce himself, not realizing who I actually was. Just saw a face that looked vaguely familiar and decided to network. He walked up, extended his hand, did the whole corporate networking spiel. Said he was excited to be partnering with the company, wanted to get to know everyone. Asked what department I was in, what I did, all the standard small talk. The whole time, he had this salesman smile that never quite reached his eyes. I shook his hand, told him my name, and watched recognition flicker across his face like someone had just flipped a switch. His smile froze. His handshake went limp. You could actually see him trying to place where he knew the name from. Then I calmly asked him, "How's Chloe doing?" The look on his face was worth everything. Complete deer in headlights. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He stammered something about not knowing who I meant, then suddenly remembered he had somewhere else to be. He practically jogged away from our conversation, nearly knocking over a waiter carrying a tray of appetizers. Sophia looked at me with this brilliant grin and said, "That was cold." I shrugged, told her I'd learned from the best. The corporate wellness initiative? It got quietly reassigned to someone else a few weeks later. Tyler's name just disappeared from all company communications. I found out later from a coworker in HR that he'd quit suddenly, something about pursuing other opportunities. Sure thing, buddy. Sophia and I moved in together last month. Found a place with a yard because she wanted space for a dog. We adopted a mutt from the shelter she volunteers at, some kind of lab mix with one floppy ear and the goofiest face you've ever seen. Named him Buddy. He sleeps at the foot of our bed and goes absolutely nuts when I come home from work. Like full body wiggling, tail going so hard his whole back end moves with it. Never had a dog growing up, so this is all new to me. But I get it now. I get why people are obsessed with their pets. 2 weeks ago, I got a promotion to senior claims manager. Comes with an office instead of a cubicle, and a team of 3 adjusters reporting to me. My boss said I had the best eye for detail he'd seen in 20 years. Sophia took me out to celebrate at this downtown steakhouse, the kind of place with leather booths and a menu without prices. We're talking about maybe buying a house next year if the market calms down. Now, here's the update everyone's been waiting for. Last weekend, Sophia and I were at Costco, loading up on the usual bulk stuff, when I spotted a familiar face in the checkout line 3 lanes over. Chloe. She was with some guy I didn't recognize. Average-looking dude in khakis and a polo. They had a cart full of basic apartment stuff, dish towels, storage bins, cheap cookware. Starting over kind of purchases. She saw me at the same moment I saw her. Our eyes met across the checkout lanes like some twisted rom-com moment. Her face went through about 6 emotions in 2 seconds. Then she noticed Sophia next to me. Noticed the ring on Sophia's finger. Yeah, I proposed 3 months ago. Didn't mention that part yet. Chloe looked down at Sophia's hand, then back up at my face. I just gave her a small nod, the kind you'd give an acquaintance you vaguely recognize. Then I turned back to loading our groceries onto the belt. Sophia caught the whole exchange, asked me later if I was okay. I told her honestly that I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger, not even awkwardness. Just nothing. That chapter closed a long, long time ago. I found out through the grapevine last week that Chloe and the Costco guy broke up. Apparently, he found out about her history and wasn't thrilled about the hall pass story that had made its way through their mutual friend group. She's back at her parents' place again. Meanwhile, Tyler got engaged to some woman he met at his new gym job in Columbus. Saw the announcement on Instagram through a mutual connection. Good for him. Hope he's more honest with her than he was sneaking around with other people's girlfriends. As for me and Sophia, we're closing on a house next month. 3 bedrooms, finished basement, fenced yard for Buddy. Her parents are flying in for the housewarming party. My mom already bought us a set of patio furniture as a gift. Life has a funny way of working out when you stop tolerating nonsense. Looking back, it all feels like a lifetime ago. The sting, the confusion, the quiet rage, it's all faded, replaced by gratitude and profound peace. I found my strength, my self-respect, and ultimately, a love that's honest and true. I wouldn't change a thing about how I handled it because it led me exactly where I needed to be. I'm curious, though, if you found yourself in a similar situation, would you have reacted the same way, or would you have chosen a different path? What's your take on closure in a breakup like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one.